Hosted by you/Natural Mountain 641. I, 43M, am really close to my family, which consists of my siblings, their spouses, their kids, and my parents. Every year, we go on vacation around this time for 2 weeks and come back right before Christmas. We're supposed to leave a week from today. I am a divorced, single, sole parent to my daughter, Emily, 15F. She jokingly calls herself a nerd. She's weird, quirky, and likes anime, video games, and Star Wars, the whole stereotypical nerd thing. She does get bullied at school, but since leaving middle school and growing up a little more, she started handling it better, and most of it has stopped. However, one boy, who I will call Jeff, 16M, and is coincidentally my nephew's, who is also somewhat of a little jerk himself, best friend, is an absolute nightmare. I've talked to the school, we've had meetings with his parents, and my daughter has switched classes extensively, but he still goes out of his way to pick on Emily. She has told me herself that she can handle name-calling, but it doesn't stop there. He pulls her hair, rips her clothes, and destroys her belongings. This kid is a full-fledged nightmare. They even got into a fistfight, for which both were suspended last year, because he stole her backpack and put it into a toilet in the boys' bathroom. When I was discussing plans with my sister, she mentioned needing to buy Jeff a winter coat. When I realized he was going on the trip, I almost lost it. I told her, admittedly without thinking, that we weren't going, and she began begging me, talking about tradition, family, and so on. I said no, that I would eat my portion of the cost, but we are not going. After a longer conversation, I said I would go if they disinvited Jeff. We are well off and fortunate to have grown up in a financially stable home with attentive and supportive parents, and for our kids to have experienced the same. Jeff was not so lucky. He lives in a very unstable environment, both financially and emotionally. This was apparent to me during the meetings with his parents. His father didn't care, and his mother blamed my daughter for being evil. These were multiple, separate meetings. This is awful, and I'm sorry that Jeff, or any child, has to go through that, but I told my sister that my position still stands. The conversation went back and forth, mostly her making excuses. Jeff has divorced parents, he grew up differently than us, maybe it's just a crush, and so on. When I reminded her of the fight, she said, I know, but Jeff needs this. She mentioned how he needed a break from his toxic home life, and while I respect that, why does that mean I have to put my daughter in a house with her tormentor for 2 weeks? I told her I wasn't changing my mind and went home. Now there is pure chaos. My family is split, my parents are begging me to go, and I'm getting texts nearly constantly. My daughter has told me she's not going if Jeff is going. She even had a full-blown panic attack over it. Maybe I'm looking for validation, or maybe I really need a wake-up call and I'm just a selfish jerk. Additional information from OOP to clarify up on some details. Hi everyone, I just wanted to leave a comment to clarify some things, though I'm not sure if it will help. I mentioned this elsewhere, but this post became overwhelming for me very quickly, and it definitely got away from me. On top of the post gaining more attention than I anticipated, the comments telling me to be a better parent, saying I'm incompetent, or insinuating, or outright stating, that I'm a bad dad have been a bit difficult to deal with. I felt some anxiety and discomfort over those comments, but I'm trying to remind myself that they're based on seeing a very limited and somewhat chaotic part of my life. While him pulling her hair and ripping her clothes has been a problem, I feel the need to clarify a bit. There were only 2 incidents where the clothes he ripped were ones she was wearing, which has made it really hard to argue my case to the school. Once, during PE, she was running, and he grabbed the back of her shirt, ripping the collar. In another instance, he was running in the hall, grabbed her shirt sleeve, tripped, and it ripped. The school categorized both incidents as accidents or horseplay gone wrong, and my daughter's uniform was replaced promptly. The other times involved him trying to snatch her jacket from her hand. They fought over it, and it ripped. The incident I brought up about SA was when he cut a piece off her skirt without her realizing it. Other instances of property destruction included him breaking pens, stealing lunches, writing on her jackets and shoes with a Sharpie, and wiping his nose on her jackets. Not exactly destruction, but I included it because, honestly, who wants to use a jacket after that? And, of course, there was the backpack situation, though there might be more that I just can't recall right now. As for her hair, when we discussed it, it wasn't something she saw as violent so much as annoying. He would walk past her in the hall and yank her hair, or when they were in class together, he'd pull her hair to ask for a pencil or something. I would never, ever downplay what my kid tells me, and these situations are still really upsetting to me. However, I feel like the lack of clarification made it sound a lot more violent than it actually was. Regarding her cousin, from what I can tell, he's uncomfortable with the way Jeff treats my daughter but doesn't do much about it. As much as that has always annoyed me, I also understand that standing up to a friend isn't easy for a teenager. I give him grief about it regularly, but as his uncle, I feel like I can't put my foot down with him as much as I can with his parents. My sister has known Jeff for years, and one of her points was that she actually saw the change in him when things started going bad at home, and her heart broke for him. Yes, it's sad that he is suffering, but again, he is not my daughter's responsibility. Why this kid is taking precedence over her niece, I have no idea. I think she truly believes she can fix him. Her son, though he is a mini jerk, is actually a pretty great kid. He's expressed sadness over the whole situation with Jeff, so I can't help but think her love for her son is influencing her decisions. I really didn't want to get into so much detail. Honestly, I have social anxiety, and I feel anxious about the whole situation with Jeff in general, especially since I've been in contact with a lawyer and don't know what would or wouldn't be okay to divulge. Mostly, I just don't want to put anything out there that could harm my daughter or jeopardize her safety. Update 3 days later. Hi, everyone, I hope you're doing well. I have an update/resolution that I figured I'd share, though truth be told, it's a bit anticlimactic. Before I start, I want to thank everyone who shared their thoughts. I appreciate all the comments, though I got overwhelmed with the attention very quickly. I'm sorry if any questions went unanswered, there were a lot of comments. I'm still trying to maintain some anonymity, but I'm happy to answer any questions that don't compromise that. The night before last, my 3 siblings, their spouses, and my parents all gathered at my sister's house to talk this through. I, very immaturely, sort of walked in with a mild attitude. I knew I wasn't going to change my mind. I felt like this was a waste of time, but my daughter keeps expressing how badly she wants to go on the trip, so I went. It started with my sister and my mom crying and just asking me to go, but that got shut down really fast by pretty much everyone else. My sister expressed that she just felt so bad for Jeff. Again, he's lower class, with a mother who treats him like a baby and a father who doesn't care. She mentioned that Jeff and Emily have been polite to each other in the presence of family and figured they were getting over their issues. I did find out that the waiver he was on extended to his tuition, despite being told it was for his uniforms and school supplies, so my apologies for an incorrect comment I made. Regardless, she was trying to convince me and my entire family to allow Jeff to come. I really do get it, and I am a person who can experience empathy, sometimes to a fault, but for the millionth time, my empathy for Jeff and his situation does not outweigh my need to protect my daughter. As her only parent, it is literally my duty to make sure she is safe, and this is not safe. Thanks to a comment, I said, my daughter does not feel safe around Jeff, to which my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, replied, well, that settles it. The only adult who wanted Jeff to go was my sister. The only people who wanted me to compromise and go, ignoring Jeff, were my mother and sister-in-law. Everyone else was adamant that Jeff should not go. No one knew he was invited, and it wasn't until I sent a message in the group chat saying I would not attend because of Jeff's presence that anyone, including my sister's husband, knew Jeff was going. My father, who is actually a therapist, has been ridiculously supportive through this whole thing. He explained his reasons for not wanting Jeff there, besides the obvious. Most notably, and as many others, including myself, have pointed out, he brought up the subject of SA. My nephew mentioned to him that Jeff likes Emily, and if his mindset is as dysfunctional as we believe, he's not currently capable of expressing that to Emily in a healthy way, which could lead to him attempting to SA her. Note, my sister tried to I told you so me about the crush, but I literally laughed at her. I honestly don't care if he has a crush on my daughter. He's so awful to her. She takes it like a champ, she holds her head up high, and I'm so proud of her for that. But that doesn't change the fact that Jeff has been so sincerely awful to her that it makes me sick. It was ultimately decided that Jeff would not go. Thanks to another comment I saw, I told her that she was doing a great thing by trying to help this boy, but her niece came before him in the situation. I brought up that Jeff might retaliate against Emily, again, thanks to another comment, for being disinvited, so we came up with a plan, sort of. My nephew had to tell Jeff at school the next day that he was no longer invited because he didn't want him and Emily to get into a fight. I thought that was a dumb plan, to be honest, but as long as the blame was off Emily, I didn't care. We left for the night. Both Emily and I hugged my sister. She apologized. It was generally okay. I'm still frustrated with her for trying to be this boy's savior at the risk of my daughter, and we have yet to have that conversation, but I'm sure it will come with time. My mother told Emily that she was sorry for seemingly wanting to subject her to Jeff, and she didn't mean to come off that way, she simply wanted us to come. I'm still frustrated with my mom, but again, a conversation to come with time. I told my daughter not to get her hopes up because part of me still didn't believe that Jeff wasn't going to go, but we proceeded with cautious optimism. In the meantime, I spoke with my lawyer friend, who advised me not to go on the trip if Jeff was going and not to speak to him or his parents directly. No problem there, I had resigned to not going and had no interest in talking to anyone. Additionally, my sister's husband and I had a long talk about how he was really disappointed in her for this. That's not my business, but I was happy that he was still as fiercely protective of my daughter as I always thought he was. I have to give my nephew props because he took the news well, although he was disappointed. He understands that what Jeff does is wrong, but I'm still not really sure why he puts up with it, besides the fact that he's a teenager who doesn't want to lose his friend. So, this leads us to last night. Emily showed me a message from my nephew that just said, so Jeff backed out Lamau, and that's it. Get this, Jeff didn't know Emily was going. My nephew went to tell him what was up, and he got as far as saying, Emily is going to be there, before Jeff backed out. I spoke to my nephew, who said Jeff just got weird, said he couldn't go, and they left it at that. Jeff seemed disappointed, and I do feel sorry for him, but again, my daughter comes first. My brother-in-law only sent me laughing emojis. Initially, I wasn't sure if I'd go because a lot of comments suggested I shouldn't go on principle. That said, my daughter said she'd rather go on this trip, even after I tried to suggest we do something else. So now we're going. Yay. That's really it. Sorry it's so long, and I wish it were more exciting, but it's not. I tried to put emphasis on the conversation with my family because that was the important part, but even then, we were just standing around my sister's kitchen talking, no big confrontation or anything. Regardless, have a good day and a happy holiday season. Thank you for reading and for all the advice, I truly appreciate it. Commenter. That sister's savior complex is so strong that she almost saved the wrong child in this situation.